a couple of videos that I'd recommend from YouTube, just explaining where we are with artificial intelligence right now. There's a handful, I would say. Casually Explained is fantastic. Most of these are humorous, these early level videos, but he talks about the different types of AI. So narrow intelligence, general intelligence, and super intelligence, which is a distinction that a lot of people still mix up. And he does it in a very humorous way, and I highly recommend this video and indeed all of Casually Explained's videos. The next one is going to be Exerbia. Never actually said it out loud. I assume Exerbia, which is similar. This is talking about consciousness in artificial intelligence. So again, these are popular approaches, talking about AI, talking about how they're going to impact society and kind of some of the philosophical questions around them. They're not necessarily practical, but they're very interesting. So how will we know when AI is conscious? By Exerbia. And again, with Exerbia, a lot like Casually Explained, all of their videos are pretty good if you want a deep dive into a topic whilst it's still being very humorous and entertaining at the same time. 3 Blue 1 Brown. So 3 Blue 1 Brown is a YouTuber who talks about mathematics primarily. So if we go over to his channel, most of it is mathematics, but he's got a very good playlist on neural nets. So here, neural networks, he has a full course, which is how many videos? 10 videos. These first few ones here, talking about deep learning, gradient descent, backpropagation calculus. You don't necessarily need to know the calculus, but these videos are extremely good at explaining what's actually happening inside of a large language network. If you want to get a bit deeper, I would also have a look at this book. So this is How AI Works by Roland Newsel. Not quite sure how you say it, which starts to look at how large language models work. But as you can see, it's relatively thin compared to a lot of technical books, and he keeps the language light. So I'd recommend looking at 3 Blue 1 Brown, the neural networks course. Again, these are like 20-minute long videos. They touch on the mathematics, but without you having to do the mathematics yourself. And the mathematics behind these large language models is not that complex. There's some linear algebra, optimization, the calculus. And if you haven't covered any of this stuff, it doesn't really matter, because these videos will explain what they're doing and why they're doing it. And for the most part, you're not going to be, you're never going to be handwriting differential equations in order to work with AI. It's just having a kind of intuitive understanding of how they're working. It's useful to know a little bit about the mathematics. So this series in particular is fantastic for that. Also, something that I should mention is, because this is a different type of live, I'm not doing the news today, I'm doing learning resources. The newsletter, which will come out on Monday, will have a list of all of these learning resources. So it will act as a guide, basically a reference guide. So make sure you subscribe to the newsletter and you'll get a big long list, which is going to be an easy way to access all of this. And I'll give you all the links as well. From here, once you've had a look at 3 Blue 1 Brown, you don't necessarily have to go through the whole course. There's some other ones like this one, LLMs Explained Briefly, which is inside the course. This is a quick...
Large in large language model is how they can have hundreds of billions of these parameters.
I think he has another one. He's got another one that's kind of entry level as well. If you have a look around his site, his YouTube, I'm sure you'll find it. They're fantastic for getting a grip of what's actually happening inside a large language model. At the same time, I'd have a look at this. So Stephen Wolfram, he created Wolfram Alpha and the Wolfram, is it a programming language? I don't know what you'd call it. It's a way to do mathematics using computers, we'll put it that way. It's available on Amazon, so I have a printed copy of it because it's nice to have, but the whole book is available on this one page as well. And as you can see, it's quite a long article, but he's walking through, and this came out before ChatGPT. I think he's walking through what a large language model does. No, I'm sorry, 2023. So he does talk about ChatGPT. This came out before GPT-4. I might get the chronology wrong, but this was when GPT 3.5 came out and people were like, oh my God, what is this? This article dropped, and it's a really good explainer because Stephen Wolfram is very good at explaining technical and mathematical concepts in layman language. So you can start off, it gets more and more complex. So if we get to the end, and there's stuff about multidimensional space, etc., but he does talk through it in a way that makes it very consumable. Even if you don't have a background in mathematics, it just might take a bit of time to work through it. I would say with something like this though, because ChatGPT has such a good knowledge of this particular article and this particular short book, you can actually ask it. You can say, hey, I'm reading Stephen Wolfram's What is a ChatGPT Doing? And I don't really understand this part. And ChatGPT will be able to help you with it. So you can use this as a framework for learning. This gives you the content, but you can also talk ChatGPT to work your way through it. If you work through these kind of resources, which take a couple of weeks, you're going to know more about large language models 99% of the people out there. For most people, it's magic. You will also, and I think this is the important takeaway, you'll realize it's all mathematics. Again, having emotional connections with their models or starting to think the model is conscious, etc. You will know where this is all based from, and it's based from the mathematics. And yes, there are emergent properties, but it's basically just numbers and being tumbled around in a machine. And I think having that strong foundational knowledge of how these things work is really useful when it comes to cutting through a lot of the nonsense out there. One of my favorite, Karpathy, Andrej Karpathy. So there are going to be these 3 videos. They are not short, so be aware of that. There's a 1-hour talk, which is his shortest version, which is a condensed version of his 3.5-hour talk, a deep dive into LLMs like ChatGPT. I would highly recommend just watching them all. It's going to take you, God, what is that, 8 hours. I did it all on a treadmill. He's a very good explainer, and he's explaining the mathematics, he's explaining how these things work. It's a long topic, basically. So definitely check out all 3 of these general audience videos. 1-hour talk, intro to large language models. The 3.5-hour talk, deep dive into LLMs, is fantastic, really good. And then the other one is how to use LLMs, which I think is his most recent one, which is a bit more high level. But the deep dive into LLMs like ChatGPT, which is unfortunately 3.5 hours long, if you chunk it up, you'll be able to get through it. That one in particular will give you a very intuitive understanding of what is going on inside of these. And so I highly recommend that. I know it's very long, so find something to do while you're listening. And if you get through that video, you will know, again, more than everybody out there.